views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola everyone, welcome to Open BxRx Remote, our special coverage from my home. We're going to provide the latest on the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. As you know, I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche, with you every Friday. And here's what's coming up in today's show. Lady Days Off, we'll learn the benefits of meditation and growing spiritually with tri-rat meditator Ananata. And then we'll speak with the Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr., about the increasing number of COVID-19 cases and the importance of working together effectively to keep community safe. After that, we'll hear from Council Member of the 16th District, Vanessa Gibson, who is also going to talk about the effects the coronavirus is having on the entire district. Plus, we'll discuss the effects the global pandemic is having on the entertainment industry when we speak with actor and producer Jody Bentley from California. And then later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight features spoken word poet and activist Lyrical Faith, who will perform a special piece at the end of this show. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way, because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. And today we are encouraging you to get social with us online. That is, of course, we need to hear from you. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow me and speak to me. I really want to hear from you guys on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So during this time, many people are stressed and filled with lots of anxiety over this COVID-19 pandemic. And our next guest is a meditation teacher and coach with over 2 decades worth of experience. And he's here now to give us some meditation tips. Please welcome Ananata. Hello, Ananata.
Hi there, Rhina. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here. That accent, where are you from?
I'm from the UK, close to London.
Originally from the UK, but now you're in New York.
Exactly. 3 years in New York.
3 years in New York, and ouchie, ouchie. We are going through it right now. And so we are all in this together.
We certainly are. Yeah.
And while we are all focusing on the wellness within our physical being, right, which is very important, to wash our hands and make sure we don't touch our face, there's also the mental state that comes into play. So let's talk a little bit about your practice and what your recommendations are.
Sure. I mean, you mentioned a little bit just before about my practice. I've been practicing meditation for a bit over 20 years, and I teach in the city a space called Place to Meditate. So I've been teaching for a long time, and I'm also teaching in mindfulness-based stress reduction. So that's a program that was developed by Jon Kabat-Zinn to help people to deal with stress that they encounter in their life and anxiety. And I think that, like you're saying, people are dealing with a lot of issues at the moment: stress and anxiety caused by this crisis, isolation through being at home, probably just lots of concerns about what might happen, what could happen to yourself or could happen to loved ones. And I think one of the pieces of advice, I don't quite like that word, or advice, but anyway, something that I recommend is is obviously self-care. It's something that is quite important for maintaining your mental health, and which meditation is particularly geared towards. So if we can take care of ourselves, our mental health, then that means that we can minimize our own worries, our own stress, and also be there for others to help them as they're going through their stuff too.
And so mindful-based stress reduction meditation, what does that entail?
So it's an 8-week course. It's been tried and tested for over 40 years. It was developed in the University of Massachusetts, highly researched, and it was one of the major initiatives that sparked the mindfulness revolution, if you like. So it's a phenomenon that spread worldwide. And during that 8-week course, participants are introduced to techniques of mindfulness, of body awareness, of dealing with their stress reactivity. So noticing when something stressful happens, either an external event or something, just a recurring thought that can go on in our minds, finding creative ways to deal with that. So instead of what your habit might be, kind of going into more like tensing in the body, or reaching for the glass of wine, or something else, noticing that reaction and trying to have a creative response. Quite often people find when doing this course that just by coming into the body and noticing what the mind does, they find a lot about themselves that can be quite simple, like I tense my jaw. When I'm in a stressful situation, my shoulders tense up, or my palms start sweating, and then noticing that, oh, that's a sign. Oh, I know what's happening here. And with that knowledge, then it gives people the freedom to then choose to, okay, I can relax. I've got a bit more space around this reaction, and I can choose to act in a different way that isn't responding with anger or retreating into a shell.
Right. And at this particular time, I think it's important for all of us to really consider that based on this quarantine, self-quarantine, and this isolation, it's actually a time to really take the moment to get to know yourself and to address anything that may or may not be working for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to downplay the very real threats and dangers that are present, and that many of us are likely to face or might already be facing, whether it's dealing with loved ones who are sick, or job losses, or economic insecurity, and so on. And like you say, there is an opportunity during this time, if you are at home and have more time on your hands, to look at some of these issues. And I've been really kind of like heartened by just seeing the plethora of online offerings that have appeared over the last week. So there's so many different individuals and organizations that are offering free led meditation. So if you're new to meditation, there's tons and tons of stuff out there. BxRx is a UK-based organization that are running a free course, Mindfulness for Troubling Times. Space to Meditate, who I mentioned, and who are based in New York, are doing a meditation every morning and afternoon. My organization, Tree Ratner, we're going to be offering something every weekday evening. So they're just a few things. I know there are many, many more.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I just feel that at this particular time, we're being bombarded with so much information that it's a little challenging to kind of pick and choose what it is that you're going to hold on to.
Yeah. Do you mean in terms of, so there's a kind of an issue in terms of information around the virus itself? And
well, we know that there are physical things that need to be addressed and definitely need to be applied and respected and practiced, right? We're aware of that. But then there's that worry that you opened up with at the top of our discussion that can just kind of play and replay and replay and replay. And then you become stiff. Paralyzed, actually. And so that is really what I'm hoping that we can assist our viewers with in trying to get past that.
Yeah. So I want to say two things to that. So one, you might have heard the term digital detox, and I know for myself and friends of mine have said this as well, that the information that is available just in terms of the virus and developments every day is overwhelming, and you can spend all day online and be reading and so on and taking all of that in. And there's obviously a degree to which that's helpful and really important for us to understand what's happening, and it can become overwhelming. So having a digital detox, maybe like if you're living with someone, you could have like an evening where you don't talk about the virus. Just have a break, kind of give your mind a break from this. And when it comes to our own mental patterning, the rumination that can happen, worrying that, say, yeah, it does lead to or can lead to paralysis, this is where the meditation can help, because by bringing us a more awareness into the body, to what's happening internally, and just looking. So what's there? Because there are so many clues in the body. When we bring our attention to it, the mind and the body are so interlinked that we can notice and see that connection and go, so there's perhaps there's a little bit of spaciousness and a bit of lightness. So while I'm feeling my thoughts are telling me I'm tense and I can't do anything and I'm completely overwhelmed, the body might be saying that might be true, partially true, but there's another story as well. So it just helps us to reframe our thoughts and not take them so seriously.
Right. In addition to that, stress does reduce the immune system, and right now we need to be proactive in building it.
Exactly. And there are, it does reduce the immune system, and it causes so many, can lead to so many diseases and so on. And this technique, there's so much research out there that talks about the benefits of increased well-being, better ability to sleep, and so on. So it's not a phasing out. I think that can be a misunderstanding. It's not a cutting off either. I think it's what I was saying before. It's a kindness to yourself. It's acknowledging that I get overwhelmed. I can take in too much, and it's better for me, and I think everyone, if I'm in a good state, if I'm in a healthy state of mind, if I can be balanced, then I'm nicer to everyone around them. I'm not snapping at them. I'm not ignoring them. I'm able to be present and there for them.
I understand, and I'm in complete agreement with you. And again, as you mentioned earlier, it's not to downplay the seriousness and the severity of this pandemic that we're all enduring, but it is there's a reality of just right now we're exercising social distancing, and in that social distancing, that and also we're also minimizing, we're also restricting ourselves from even touching our faces, right? And one of the things I've noticed is I touch my face a lot in these past couple of weeks. However, that's not to say that you can't give yourself a hug, right? So since we are exercising the social distancing, and perhaps you're not hugging as many people as you would normally, even without using the physical form of hugging yourself, through meditation, it's another means of hugging yourself.
Yeah, I love that point, because the meditation is very intimate. You're becoming very intimate with yourself, and sometimes it's lovely and gorgeous and really, there's some really nice feelings, and sometimes you find stuff that's like, oh no, I don't really like that. But that can be similar to coming into a relationship with a partner. Like sometimes it is all warm and nice and lovely, and sometimes it's a bit more tricky. But that intimacy that you can develop with yourself, if you then bring that into relation with another person who's doing something similar, creates a very special type of intimacy, because you're both sort of sensitized. So even though we're physically distancing, and I know there are people who prefer that term, physical distancing to social distancing, you may be physically separate, but you can come together socially and connect more, just like we're doing here, just like we do online, when we call our loved ones and so on.
Thank you. And before we go, I understand you're going to send us off with a guided meditation. I know we're kind of out of time, so I just wondered if you could just give us a really quick taste of what that looks like, just a couple of seconds if possible.
Absolutely. So this is a brief technique called a 3-minute breathing space. I'll do it in a shorter period of time, but you could do this in 1 minute, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. So it's a very simple 3-stage practice. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing at the moment, you could close your eyes or leave them open as you prefer, but just stop and notice what's present in your experience right now. What do you feel in the body? What thoughts are floating around? What's your mood like? And then the second part is moving to the breath. So where do you feel the breath in your body? Resting where you feel the breath is most vivid. Watching the flow of the breath. And then thirdly, expanding your awareness out to incorporate the whole body. Breathing with the whole flow of experience in this present moment. And then when you're ready, if you have your eyes closed, you can open them and move the body a little, and then you can proceed to the next activity in your day.
Oh, wow. I thank you. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
Little itty bitty taste of what people can actually exercise on 10, 15 minutes. Which do you prefer?
Oh, I mean, whatever you can manage, whatever you can manage. People are in different circumstances and situations. People can find 3 minutes in their day. You know, like it's really not hard, I think, to find 3 minutes. You could practice this on the subway once we're all out. We're using those again. But if you can do even 3 minutes, fantastic.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for sharing it with our viewers today. Ananata, do you have any last words before we go?
Just thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to share some thoughts around meditation with you. Like I said, I'll be leading a session on Monday evening. I have some courses running up. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, thank you so much. And I really encourage people to stay safe, both in body, spirit, and mind during this period.
All right. Thank you very much. Once again, you guys, to participate in meditation class with Ananata, you can visit trirachna.nyc.org. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll talk to Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr.
It's time to get serious about your future. At Bronx Community College, you can earn an Associate of Applied Science degree and become a medical laboratory technician in as little as 2 years. Earn an average salary of over $50,000 a year in one of the most rewarding careers in medicine. All you need is a high school diploma or equivalent to get started. Those who qualify can get tuition covered by grants and scholarships, so why wait? For program details, contact Bronx Community College today.
COVID-19 cases, also known as the coronavirus, continues to increase in New York City and throughout the world. Today, we are joined by Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. to discuss the impact it's having on the borough of the Bronx and the importance of strengthening the community during this difficult time. Welcome.
Thank you. How you doing, Rhina? I just want to thank you and BronxNet for continuing to do your job in informing the overall Bronx community and family.
So, sorry, Borough President, I somehow got disconnected for a minute, but I think I'm coming back. There I am. This is all new to us. We're all working remotely.
Yep.
Thank God for computers at this particular time. And thank you for taking the time to be with us. I think it's important that the community hear from you and how your office is addressing this matter.
Well, we've been, I'm here in the office, and we've been working with the essential staff and directors and my communications team. And basically what our job at this moment is to advocate, to have conversations, to get information from the state and the city governments, as well as the federal government, and coordinate that for our borough, and sort of just to manage the flow of information, and try the best that we can to have Bronxites be informed, Bronxites to work cooperatively, and to make sure that we have the best opportunity here to minimize the amount of exposure, the amount of sickness, and unfortunately, the amount of deaths that are going to happen. Now, with that said, I want to explain to Bronxites why we are at this place. And so, again, with the most information that we have, the more we can minimize fears and misinformation and hysteria. So
yeah, I think it's important. I'm sorry. I think it's important that we go from the beginning, right?
Yes. So here it is. There's an organization called the WHO. That's the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization is obviously, it's in its name. It's a worldwide organization of scientists and medical experts. And every year, what they do is that they monitor viruses, disease, any health ailments that they see triggered in different parts of the world. It's the reason how every year, for instance, for those, whenever we hear about the flu and we hear about a new strand of flu, they're the ones who warn the rest of the world that we're going to have the flu, it's going to be an uptick, or maybe not, there's going to be a new strand. And then they offer testing, they offer ways to get to the vaccine, or offer a way to get the antibodies for
the antibiotics, right?
Antibiotics for said disease. So back in last fall, the World Health Organization told the world that there is a new COVID strand. Now, remember, guys, COVID has been around for decades. This strand, COVID-19, known as coronavirus, is a new strand. So they said that this is a new strand, and here is the testing that we recommend so that when the time comes, you can test the people in your population. And this way, when those who test positive, you can quarantine them, make sure that they stay in place somewhere at home or some facility so that they don't spread the virus. Every big country took that test that the World Health Organization gave to, that they offered, except for the United States. So the United States said, no, this administration, the president said, no, what we're going to do is that we're going to come up with our own testing mechanism. So what happened with that is the testing that we did initially was flawed. So what that does is that it puts us behind the ball. And now that coupled with the fact that we saw that it wasn't taken so seriously coming out of the White House initially, we didn't have the right testing. So now we've come to the point now where the virus, unfortunately, has spread not only around the world, but here in the United States, here in New York City, certainly here in the Bronx. And what we need to do more so than anything, because this is just the beginning, what we need to do is to realize that there is going to be what's called a curve, meaning there's going to be an uptick. The more testing that we do now, thank God that the federal government allowed for the state government and the city to do its own testing. As of yesterday, we were doing 8,000 tests a day in the state of New York, which is a good sign that we're headed in the right direction. We still need more testing that needs to be done, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the reason why we need the testing is so that, and the reason why we need people to stay home is so that you don't spread it, even if you don't have the symptoms, even if you don't know that you have the coronavirus. We need people to stay home because in the state of New York, we only have 53,000 beds. And what we are anticipating, if we continue this route with the disease is spreading, in 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have 110,000 hospitalizations. Do the math. That's more than twice the amount of beds that we have now. So we're working on doing more testing so that people can be quarantined. We're working with the Army Corps of Engineers, Governor Cuomo is, so that we can create more beds around hospitals. We are trying to do the best that we can. We're hoping that the president invokes what's called the Defense Production Act, or the Defense Procurement Act, which allows for factories to produce more ventilators, masks, gowns, and so on and so forth. But we need everyone to cooperate and just stay home, because when that curve ticks up in 3 or 4 weeks, what we want to do is make sure that we don't have so many people while we don't have enough hospital beds. So we don't want people to be scared. We just want you to be mindful. We want you to help out by just staying home, stay in with your family, self-quarantine, read a book, play board games, do the best that you can to survive the next, 1 or 2 weeks without having to come outside as normally as you would.
So I've read in certain places, that there's a possibility that we may be ordered shelter in place.
Right.
And I know that's not necessarily your call. What are the possibilities of that actually occurring?
So those are conversations. Certainly, I spoke with the mayor yesterday. He is looking and is seriously considering doing the sheltering in place model that they have in San Francisco. The governor, however, is not in favor of that at this moment. The governor wants to make sure that when we put out information, that we do so in a way where we don't continue to stoke the fears that people have. In many ways, Rhina, the fear is worse than the virus.
Right.
In many ways, it happens in my family, my wife's family. The uncertainty, the anxieties have really overwhelmed people, even more so than the sickness. Folks who aren't sick are, feeling much more anxious than they would if they were sick. So what we want to do is make sure that people just stay home. Self-sheltering comes in many different forms. What people need to realize that both the governor and the mayor they're not interested in what we perhaps see in movies where you have martial law, where you're going to have tanks on the streets. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're basically saying is that people need to stay home. And as we see this unfold, if folks are not listening, and I still see too many people out on the streets, I saw people still hanging out last weekend. If folks are not prepared to do this on their own, then government will then step in eventually with different mechanisms, and sheltering in place is certainly one of them. But we're nowhere near there yet.
Okay. And thank you. Thank you so much for the information that you've shared with us. And if people wanted to learn more about how this is actually developing, where would they go?
So
where should they go?
So there's a lot of misinformation out there. What I would hope is that people go to COVID 692. That's COVID 692. For those that speak Spanish, go to COVID ESP, like in Espanol. So it's COVID COVID ESP 692. And that's where you'll get a lot of the updated information on the virus. You'll get a lot of updated information as to where we're seeing cases throughout the city and the state of New York. And of course, a lot of the elected officials, we're getting information. We're doing the best that we can from my office. My team is like a situation room here. We're here, so you can go to our websites. You can go to my Instagram. That people can go to Facebook or Twitter, and we're putting on a daily basis. We're putting up information.
Okay, and so before we go, to those who think that this isn't as serious as it is, what would you say to them?
It is extremely serious. But with that said, Rhina, what we don't want is for everyone to go and think that they need to go get a test. We want the test to be for those who have dire situations, for the elderly. And when we say the elderly, it doesn't mean that because you're young, you're invincible. So we've seen an uptick, and France has seen an uptick on a lot of the young people. The millennials out there, you're not invincible. So whenever we say elderly or the frail or those with compromised health conditions or pre-existing health conditions, it doesn't mean that because you're 19, 20, 21 years old and you don't feel any symptoms that you can go out and party, that you can go hang out with your friends. No, because you can still get it and be asymptomatic and then bring it home to somebody in your family who then will get sick and unfortunately may die. But so we're going to do more and more testing as we go along. We're in the process of identifying vehicular testing site with the state of New York in the way that they have it in New Rochelle. The Dr. Barbeau from the Health Commission of the City of New York, what she says is that even if you have symptoms, the best thing to do is just stay home, get through the virus. The overwhelming. I mean, we have elected officials like Richie Torres. He is positive, but he's home. There's been no vomiting on his behalf. He is, feeling normal, except that he tested positive for corona. Once you get through the virus can exist in your body for 9 to 14 days. Then we've already seen cases where folks in New York City tested positive, went through the motions, and now they've been tested again after 2 weeks, and they're already negative. That's going to be the case for the overwhelming majority of the population. So we don't need you to panic. We don't need you to fear. We don't need you to have the fear. Yes, we are asking people to stay home, but when you go to the supermarkets, we don't need you to hoard either. Please leave things on the shelves for your fellow Bronxites. So, we are all in this together. And hey, we're the Bronx, right? We come from a certain pedigree. There's a certain DNA. We are resilient. We are strong. We're going to get through this as a family. It's going to be in the long haul. This is serious. And remember that no matter what you're hearing today, is going to get even more serious in the 3-4 weeks, maybe month and a half to come. But we'll get through this. The economics are grave, and people are worried about their jobs and whether or not they're going to get compensated for wage losses. The federal government is working on all of that as we speak. We've been speaking to the city of New York about a grace period for those who can prove a hardship, so that they don't have to pay rents over the next 1 to 3 months. If you can still pay your rent, pay your rent.
Right.
Get your taxes done. You know what I mean? We're going to start identifying homebound seniors and increase the amount of food deliveries. I know that there are a lot of people, because we are the Bronx, who want to volunteer. They've been contacting us. We don't necessarily want an army of volunteers. We want people to stay home. As need basis, we'll be asking certain people, but we're leaving that for the professionals. We're leaving that for first responders.
Wow.
And so we in this for the long haul. It is serious, but the best thing that everyone could do now is just stay home. If you stay home, you come in less contact with other people. They come in less contact with other people. And so we can contain this. So when the curve comes and there's a surge, our healthcare industry can be adequate and will be able to meet the needs of that surge. If we don't listen now, we're going to regret it.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it into simple terms so that people understand why they're being instructed as such. And hopefully we can have you back on again. We thank you so much for taking the time to be with us at this moment. I know we're going through a lot right now. And again, for you guys, for more updates from the Bronx Borough President, you can visit bronxboroughpres.nyc.gov.
Rhina, last words. Stay home. Don't panic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome back to Open, everyone. So the topic of discussion, of course, is COVID-19. And as it continues to have a ripple effect that has left people in panic mode and some even without jobs. And so our next guest is the council member of the 16th District and the co-chair of the Women Caucus. And today she's here to discuss the impact the coronavirus has had on the 16th District. Please welcome Vanessa L. Gibson. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Rhina.
Absolutely. How has this been on you?
Overwhelming, hectic, nonstop busy. I think I've appreciated in-person meetings so much more. I've been on countless conference calls with the mayor's office, with the speaker's office, with agencies, with tenant leaders, with providers at senior centers, with schools, with principals, with everyone. Because obviously this is something we're learning more and more about. Every day things keep changing with new restrictions, new limitations. The governor, the mayor, the president, everyone's giving updates. And we're just trying our best as elected officials to disseminate accurate information, right? So we want to make sure that people have the resources they need. Food, obviously, meals are really important right now for seniors and elders and those who are homebound. But we also want to make sure that we are encouraging residents to stay home. If you do not need to go outside, please stay home. It's in your best interest because every day there are more cases confirmed, more people that are diagnosed, and you don't know who you're exposing yourself to in your travels. So I think for all of us, we just need the media. We need everyone to help us spread accurate information and give residents guidelines on what they can do to protect themselves and their families.
So when it comes to our community, we know that now they're offering grab and go bags for the students, right, through the public school system, and now they're being offered for the elders, and so it's a challenging time because there's the suggestion of like stay home, but then there's people that are in need who may have to, encounter certain people who may not, and I know that the whole thing about it is that from what I'm reading and learning is that everyone should basically approach this with the mentality of possibly being exposed to the coronavirus, and the idea is to minimize the actual spread of it. And so how do you recommend people go about handling their daily essentials?
So I would say to anyone that obviously needs to go out, I mean, you should go to the supermarket as best as you can, but try to get everything in one visit and not multiple visits. For those who are homebound, some of our elders who have physical disabilities, if you can designate someone, a home health aide, your home attendant, to go and get meals for you, that will be great. What senior centers are doing is they are providing grab and go meals, but you have to go to the center. But if you're not able to, they are arranging for home deliveries, which is a good thing. But beyond that, we're trying to ask residents to stay indoors. And if you need to go out, certainly please do and go back home right after. But if you're not able to, then certainly designate someone, a family member. I know myself, I'm making sure my mom is taken care of, my family members, if they need anything, because you have to. I mean, the reality is we still have to live. We need food. We need basic necessities. There's a high demand now on toilet paper. So we just want to make sure.
I mean, it's sorry.
Toilet paper.
I know. It's just, I know. I mean, I get it, but I don't, I mean,
because people
are
are shopping like the world is going to end. They're shopping like things that, eventually we're going to have issues with capacity and supply. So I understand people buying things in bulk because you don't have to worry for the next few days or weeks,
Right. But it's also a question of being mindful and being considerate and operating as community.
Yes,
operating as community. Everybody's operating as every man for themselves. And that goes even with the virus itself. I mean, there are people out there who are not really taking this serious enough.
Yes.
There are people out there who are walking around with the mentality that their immune system is boosted enough that they're not going to get that sick. And for me, it becomes questionable because it's the idea is that people really need to grasp the concept of understanding that the human body doesn't have the is that you? The human body doesn't have technically the immunity or the natural immunity to combat this disease if you already have compromised immunal problems.
Correct.
And
right.
So and I'm saying this only to just address the fact that because I'm hearing it from certain people and I'm going, that's great that you're well and that you're healthy or that I'm healthy. It's just a matter of like, well, what about those who are not? And the fact that people don't understand how it's being passed on and how one day we're hearing this, one day we're hearing it's from the surface. It's kind of like, don't wear a mask, wear a mask. It becomes really overload on information and what to follow and where to go to follow the information and the resources.
Right. So the Department of Health has been consistently saying that if you choose to wear a mask, that's fine, but it really doesn't protect you as you think it would. I think more people are doing so because of a precaution, breathing in air as you travel. Wearing gloves is always good. You have to wash your hands. You should consistently have hand sanitizer with you. If you're coughing, you're sneezing, do that into your elbow and, really, really take all precautions because the reality is COVID, coronavirus is not airborne, but you can contract it if you are in close proximity to someone who is carrying the virus. But there are many people we know because we are adding additional testing sites in New York City. There are many people walking around that may carry the virus that just don't know they have it. And they don't yet have the symptoms. A lot of people may have a cold. Remember, it's flu-like, so you may have the runny nose, the sneeze, the cough, and those are very like flu-like symptoms, but it may not be the coronavirus. So what we're also doing is asking people to hold off on going to the emergency room unless you absolutely have to. We don't want to discourage anyone from going to the ER, but ERs are packed right now. And if you are in an emergency situation, obviously, yes. But if it's something you think you have a cold, take medicine, try to rest up for the next couple of days. And then if your condition persists or it gets worse, obviously you should seek medical attention.
And so thank you for sharing those facts. let's say we discussed the elders, we're discussing different age brackets. What about careers and jobs and women and even myself? I'm a single mom. I'm working. I'm homeschooling. And then there's the small businesses who the economy itself is taking a plunge.
Right. The small businesses are going to take a big hit on this. With the limitations, now restaurants, bars, and lounges are only allowed to serve to go, pick up, or delivery. No more sit down. All the other restaurants are at a 50-person capacity, except grocery stores and supermarkets like BJ's and Costco's and your local supermarket. But the businesses are obviously hurting. What we're doing in the city council, we're working with SBS, Small Business Services. There are a number of grant opportunities that small businesses can apply for today. If they go on the city's website, www.nyc.gov, and they go to SBS, they can access and see if they're eligible. We're also trying to work at the city and state level to postpone a number of payments that are due. The New York City sales tax payment is due tomorrow for small businesses. A lot of them can't pay that. So we know that, and we're trying to provide a lot of tax relief because we know businesses cannot afford to expend so much capital right now when their revenue is so low. So we're working with the city on that, with the state as well. We're trying to expedite payments from OMB, Office of Management and Budget. This is the agency that actually approves all of our contracts. So we're trying to expedite payments to all of our not-for-profits, our service providers, folks that are doing the work now that are not getting paid on time. They have to be paid. Cafeteria, custodial staff are working overtime and they need to be paid. A lot of our not-for-profits like the Cornerstones, they've sent staff home for those that can work remotely. But if you can't work remotely, you should still be paid for your work, right? Even though you're not working. And so we're trying to work with DYCD, DFTA, and all the agencies to make sure that there's clarity. That's one thing I've heard consistently across the board is that people have not been given guidelines from the agencies on how they move staff to remote, internet access, laptop, working remotely, but also guidelines if you're home, are you still being paid for your work?
So thank you for that. And just before we go, how long do you foresee this even like? Because what concerns me is obviously the hit, but then there's the hit or there's that curve that everybody's talking about that we're trying to prevent from really being really high. However, right. What about the recovery? You know, what are we looking at?
So we've asked that question. We were on a conference call earlier, elected officials with DOHMH, and we asked one of the doctors, how long do we have to deal with this? Because we know it's going to get worse before it gets much better. But I've been saying consistently, and this too shall pass. I know we're going to get through this. During these great times of challenge, it's so grateful to see businesses coming together, offering to serve meals. Like I've never seen such resiliency from Bronxites and New Yorkers, and it makes me proud as a Bronxite and a New Yorker. I honestly don't know. No one's really given a real definitive time frame, but I definitely know we're going to be dealing with this over the next few weeks at least. This is probably going to take us through April, which is why the mayor has said that schools may be closed for the rest of the semester, because at that point, if we're getting into May, it doesn't make sense to bring our kids back to school. Same thing for us at the council. We have a budget that's due July 1st, and our hearings have been halted. We need to continue moving, so we have to find a way to get the process moving so that agencies are given their budget starting July 1. There's going to be a tremendous amount of need from the federal government because of the loss of wages from businesses, from not-for-profits. Mass transit has seen a 60% decrease in ridership. So everyone is going to have their hand out asking for federal assistance. We're going to need a stimulus package, no question on that. We're going to need help from Albany. And so, you know, I say that we need to just deal with this as best we can every day. Assure New Yorkers that we're going to get through this. Share correct and accurate information. Also want to say one thing we learned yesterday from DOHMH. There are fraudulent people out there that are knocking on doors that are talking about giving testing for coronavirus on site. That is not true. No one should be knocking on anyone's door offering to do testing. That's not accurate. So we want everyone to know, if someone knocks on your door and they offer to test you, it's not true. Do not open your door, turn them away, don't share no information, don't give them anything. And if you feel your safety is in jeopardy, call 911, because that is not true. We will have additional testing sites that will be appropriate, that will be defined, that will be finalized through health department, through community-based health centers, as well as our hospitals. No one should be knocking on anyone's door offering coronavirus testing.
Thank you. Thank you for all of that. And thank you, most importantly, for just really being a stand for strengthening our community's resiliency. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. And most importantly, stay safe out there. Use every precaution to protect you and your family. If you have to go out, be safe. But if not, stay in the house.
That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying to everybody. Thank you for your time, everyone. Once again, that's Council Member Vanessa Gibson of the District 16. And for anyone interested in Vanessa Gibson's office, they're currently closed, but she is committed to helping the people of the 16th District. And so you're welcome to send her an email at District 16 Bronx at council.nyc.gov, or also you can also go to council.nyc.gov/District 16.
Yes,
thank you again.
And you can call our office too, Rhina. Our office phones are forwarded to our cell phone. So if you call 718-588-7500, you will get one of our staff, one of my teams.
Thank you. And thank you for your commitment to our community. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Rhina. All right. Be safe. God bless. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. So the coronavirus is disrupting everything, including the entertainment industry, and many things are getting canceled, postponed, or even delayed. The ones that are really affected by this are the actors, the writers, the producers, and of course the freelancers and other creatives that are, well, pretty much relying on presenting and performing content. And joining us to tell us more about the impact the global pandemic is having on the industry, we welcome actor, producer, and speaker Jody Bentley. Hi.
Hi, Rhina. Thank you for having me to talk about this, because, yeah, it's affecting everybody in many ways.
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us, a la California. This seems to be the new normal, where we're going to be what would be the language, right? We're teleconferencing, but technically we're recording to be on air. However, this is a means of communicating now that we have to exercise social distancing.
Right.
And it's a way of being together.
It's definitely a way of being together. And that's, one thing I keep talking to actors about is, we must social distance right now. And I'm sure that is a little more difficult in New York City than it is in Los Angeles. But that doesn't mean we get to retreat. It doesn't mean we don't get to connect, because connection is what keeps us all going. So how can we do that? So I keep telling people, get on FaceTime, get on Skype, get on Zoom, whatever it is, connect with friends. I'm having game night with friends of mine on Saturday night over Zoom. So I think we got to find ways to stay connected, because as artists, we tell stories of humanity, and that's what fuels us and keeps us going. So it's important to maintain that connection in any way that we can.
So what are you seeing that's different over there in the West Coast? Because it's obviously it's a different lifestyle from ours, and I'm just curious to know, because most of you commute by car and you pretty much are in your own space anyway. But what do you see being different?
Well, the nice thing now is there's no traffic, so there's a plus.
Right.
So there's that. You know, I mean, everyone is really, I think, heeding the advice and staying in, and I think that's really important. I mean, the thing with Los Angeles is everything is so spread out, right? So it's not, when I lived in New York City, you walk down the street, you bump into 10 people you know, and it's never been that way in LA. But I feel like now people are really staying in, ordering takeout, they're going to the grocery store, stocking up for a week, going home. That just the getting outside of your house is just limited. I think people are really heeding that and staying inside.
So I know on your website, yeah, no, I hear you. And I know on your website, right? So you're like the coach to the industry. And so I know on your website, you offered some suggestions in how to maintain a daily routine, and or to implement some new things that you may not have had time to either start or finish, or
correct.
Yeah, or even domestic duties for that matter.
Right? We're at home. So yes. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of things we can do now. I think what we get to realize is we are in a new normal, and that it is temporary. And I think that's what we get to remember, is that it is temporary, and we get to be ready for the upswing when it all comes back, because it's going to come back. We just don't know when. So I think what's really important right now is to maintain some semblance of normalcy. So continue with your daily routine. So if you do get up and you work out, or you meditate, or you write in your journal, or you walk your dogs, or you drink your coffee, like do the things that you'd normally do. I think people are getting in it's the apocalypse, let's just watch Netflix all day, you know?
Right. I mean, that's taking it, that's being a little light about it, but we
right.
But the truth of the matter is that we're all being affected mentally.
Correct. And we got to keep ourselves sane. So maintaining some normalcy in your life, and finding some way to stay centered and grounded, you know, and whether that's meditation or going for a walk, like get out in the sun now, like feel the sun on your face and don't hole up in your place. So I think that's one thing, just to keep us grounded, because it's very easy to get caught up in the craziness of it all, because it is a crazy time that we're in. And recommending people to focus on what you can control, because I think in this time right now, it feels like everything is out of control and chaotic, and it is to some degree. And there's a lot of stuff that we can control. I just did a Facebook Live in my group 2 days ago about setting up your self-tape area as an actor to be able to record auditions from home, to setting up your voiceover studio to be able to do voiceover auditions. I just got a voiceover audition from my agent last night, so that industry is still going. Being able to record audiobooks, maybe starting that as a new path for you as an actor and an artist. I think there's a lot of things that we still can control, and that will just, again, help us feel grounded, as opposed to my livelihood is gone, everything's shut down, the world is over, you know, which is what it feels like.
And it's great advice, because at the end of the day, if you know, being in the field of artistry, we get to create, right? And so there's a time where you're kind of being forced to recreate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And to that end, to create. I don't know how many people I've heard, oh man, I wish I had time to write the song that's been in my head, or I wish I had time to write that screenplay or work on that web series idea. And now's the time, right? Now we have some time to do that. So we're artists. We get to create and keep creating through this period. So when we do get out of it, we'll have something to show for it. We'll already have our creative juices flowing. It's not like we're just taking a vacation for 3 months, you know, because that we get to still support humanity and create stuff, because we're going to need content when we get out of this.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we may need content right now, because what you're saying is exactly what everyone is going through with regards to people being, it's like a jolt. It's almost like a kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And at the end of the day, it's about normalizing, right? And what's normal about being home all day?
Right. Right. Nothing really. So we got to figure out ways to do it. And like you said, also being home, you know, there's so many, I like to call them open loops that we all have around the house. Oh man, I wish I could clean out my bedroom closet, or, oh, I wish I'd done this project, you know? So if we are home, let's create, let's fix our space. Let's make the most of this time and keep ourselves grounded as humans.
And so we only tapped into, I think, 3 of your suggestions. Yeah. Let's close out with at least 2 more. I know you wrote 10, but I think it's important that we share the hopeful side of this pandemic that is really transforming all of our lives.
Yeah. We get to, like I said, we got to be ready for that upswing because it is coming out, and we get to maintain positivity in our community. And that's why I'm talking about connection so much, because you know, so many of my friends yesterday, I was even texting and I'm like, how are you? And they're like, I'm lonely. I'm like, I know, like, so let's connect like this with everyone. Let's get together. I'm telling people, you know, get on with members of your acting class, because people are bummed they can't go to acting class, or the social things they were doing. Like, get on FaceTime or Zoom or something with these people, practice your cold read skills, read scripts out loud, support each other, do improv games. We can do all that still online, because that's just going to keep us up and keep our spirits up, which is really important. So I think it really comes down to connection and still being creative, because we're all creative people. And how can we just do that with these new parameters?
No, I love that, because I think that's the other downside to this is the detachment, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. But once you hear social distancing, physical distancing, it kind of evolves into a detachment. And that's what this discussion is finding means to remain connected and just be creative.
Totally. And, you know, and limit the news consumption, I think, as much as we can for our own sanity. Like, we got to tap in and know what's happening. But watch other things, connect with people, be creative, and just remember that as artists, we tell stories. We have the power to change the world. I mean, that's why everyone is turning to Netflix and Amazon or Hulu and binge watching right now, because they want to feel emotions and be transcended. And that's what we have the power to do. And we might not be able to do that right now with all the shows closed and the industry shut down, but we get to remember that that is our job, and it's going to come back, and we get to be ready for that.
That's wonderful. And thank you. Thank you for sharing it with our viewers over here in New York.
Of course, I miss New York. I miss my New Yorkers.
Say that again?
I miss my New Yorkers. I lived in New York for 20 years, so I miss my New York. So New York's in my heart. I know you guys are going through a lot right now. Again, because of the closeness of everything, but you know, we're doing well here in LA. We're again, like, heeding to what we get to do and just staying sane.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rhina. Appreciate it. Stay safe. Be well.
Igualmente. Stay blessed, safe, and healthy. You guys, once again, for more on Jody Bentley, you can visit her website by going to jodybentley.com, and make sure to follow her on Instagram at Jody Bentley. Don't go anywhere. Bobby C's weekly sports roundup is coming up next.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
We're on East 187th Street and Arthur Avenue, right in the heart of Little Italy, in the Belmont section of the Bronx. Last week, we had a lot of people buying, to stock up, but there's been a big drop-off. A lot of restaurants have closed, and they've been a big part of our business for a long time. We're a pasta store, and we've always been that for 84 years. Started by my great-grandparents when they came from Italy. They opened up what was just half this store. It helped them get through the Depression, through the war, and right now it's helping us get through this coronavirus scare. We're trying not to close. We're staying open for our customers. We sell a lot of non-perishable, pasta goods, and those can keep people fed for a very long time. So we're staying open as long as we can. We also have an internet side of the store, So if you go to borgattis.com, you can order stuff and have it shipped to you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're welcome.
Typically, I shop because the selection and the quality of the foods is terrific. Today, I called up Sal at Biancardi's. I gave in my order. They're putting it right in my car, and I'm going right back home. I'm shopping for my whole family that lives near me.
The business has been here 105 years. We're third generation, one of the longest running businesses in the Bronx. At Tyler Brothers, people are stocking up on flour, olive oil, tomatoes, cheese, all the products, figs, dates, prunes, tuna fish. People are worried that they're not going to be able to find their products that they want. My hope is that this gets resolved soon and business gets back to the way it was.
Arthur Avenue, I mean, this is the place to buy food. This is like the real center, the nucleus of the food industry. I mean, this is what it is. But, I hate to see anything close down, because if it does, it's going to be a lot of people and employees being impacted on this, and businesses. There's 250 businesses in this area, and I hope this thing goes away fast and quick, because the way they're talking is a serious thing, and we're all scared about it. So we're trying to do the best we can, trying to stay away from people. I'm getting customers one at a time. I'm not getting anybody, more than like 1 or 2 people. As you can see, the counter is empty here. I'm getting a lot of delivery orders. I just tell them when they give me a call up, come, get, and get out. I don't want nobody to congregate here, and start talking like a normal week or day would have been here. So I'm trying to get everybody individual. They call up, I fill up their orders, and they get out, as soon as they can.
See what I'm wearing? The water feeble spirits. There you go. It works. It works. I hate it. Yeah, that's the Italian remedy. The cloves of garlic. My grandmother lived by garlic. Our families in Europe are feeling it. Our cousins in Calabria, and Naples, and Salerno, they're not leaving their homes. They're very worried. We're worried here also. Nobody wants to get sick, but we have to take care of ourselves. This is a city building. The mayor's office asked us to keep our deliveries going for some of the people working in the area. We have a lot of guys today. We had a bunch of guys from Verizon. We had a couple of construction guys. We have men that are out and women that are out trying to get goods for their households. We have people calling orders in, which are important. We're also doing mail order at ArthurAvenue.com. Yesterday we were not busy, but we had a lot of orders come in that were unexpected. I really feel that everybody's got to take care of themselves, their family, and we're here to help as a family because people have to eat.
We all got to get through this together. We're New Yorkers. We're the toughest ones out there.
Stay strong, and remember, chi mangi bene vive bene. Eat well, you live well.
Hey there, sports fans. Bobby C. out at Yankee Stadium. Trying times right now around the Big Apple and around the world. So that means a little bit of a different spin on our regular sports roundup here this morning. So instead, I'm going to start off this segment with our top 3 trending sports headlines. We will begin, of course, with COVID-19. 4 more players from the National Basketball Association have tested positive for coronavirus. All 4 players are from the Brooklyn Nets, and that includes star Kevin Durant. Shocking news there. Other big news from around the world of sports. The Kentucky Derby, for the first time since 1945, the end of World War II. It will not go down in the month of May. The Kentucky Derby has been moved to September. But the biggest news this week comes to us via NFL free agency, where Tom Brady is not returning to New England. He will not be a Patriot. First time in 20 years that we can say that. Tom Brady will be signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Special treat this morning, though. We will have my top 10 Yankees of all time. Here are the rankings. Coming in at number 10. Holy cow, I'm taking Phil Rizzuto. Most of the best Yankees are renowned for their slugging, but Rizzuto was a legend because of his fielding at shortstop. The Gold Glove Award didn't become a thing until the year after Rizzuto retired, but Scooter undoubtedly would have won a bunch of them. The one award he did win was AL MVP in 1950 when he caught fire at the plate and batted .324. He was a 5-time All-Star, a 7-time World Series champion, and a Baseball Hall of Famer. And in his amazing career behind the microphone as a longtime voice of the Yankees, and maybe, just maybe, you now understand why he belongs on a list like this. Phil's number 10 is also in Monument Park. That's where you'll find these two number 8s. Bill Dickey is one of the best hitting catchers in the history of Major League Baseball. Among the 23 catchers who have logged at least 7,000 career plate appearances, Dickey's .313 batting average reigns supreme. From 1929 to 38, Dickey batted at least .310 in 9 of his 10 seasons, including a remarkable 1936 campaign in which he hit .362 with an OPS of 1,045. His strikeout percentage in those 10 seasons was a mere 3.37. In 1935, he had just 11 strikeouts and 491 plate appearances. The 11-time All-Star was also a key part of 7 World Series championships. How about the greatest Yankee pitcher of all time? In at number 8, the chairman of the board, Whitey Ford. Ford is the franchise leader in career wins with 236. Ford won 25 games and a Cy Young Award in 1961. But look closer at the numbers. He had a sub-3.25 ERA in every season of his career, including a 4-year stretch from 1955 to 58 with a cumulative 2.41 ERA. He was just as good during the postseason, posting a 2.71 ERA in 22 career starts in the World Series. As a result, the Yankees won 6 titles, with Ford making multiple starts in 5 of them. Between the 1960 and 61 World Series, he pitched 32 scoreless innings and won all 4 of his starts. Ford pitched most of his games to this man, number 7 on my list, Yogi Berra. In addition to being the most quotable person to ever set foot on a baseball diamond, he was an all-star every season from 1948 to 62, accumulating 10 World Series rings, batting .274 in 75 games with a dozen home runs. Berra was only 5'7", but he packed quite a wallop. Among catchers, only Mike Piazza, Johnny Bench, and Carlton Fisk hit more home runs than Berra, and his 1,430 RBI stand still as the most in Major League Baseball history by a catcher. Berra had a 7-year peak from 50 to 56. He finished top 4 in the AL MVP race in all 7 years, winning the award in 1951, 54, and 55. He batted .295 during this time, averaging 27 home runs and 108 RBI. Coming in at number 6, the captain and the newest addition to the Baseball Hall of Fame, Derek Jeter. Beginning with his 1996 American League Rookie of the Year campaign, Jeter played in at least 148 games and registered at least 179 hits, 10 homers, 11 stolen bases in 14 of his 15 seasons. He finished his career in 6th place on the all-time hits list. He never won an MVP, but he did finish in the top 10 in voting 8 times. The closest call was 2006 when Jeter batted .343 and finished just 14 votes behind Justin Morneau for the honor. 14 All-Star appearances, 5 Gold Glove Awards, 5 Silver Sluggers. He won an All-Star MVP and a World Series MVP to boot. Like so many others on this list, Jeter was also a postseason legend. He batted .308 with 200 hits and 20 home runs and 158 career playoff games, including being the 2000 World Series MVP. Mr. November slides in at number 6. And then there were 5. Coming in at number 5, the greatest closer of all time cracks the top half of this top 10. The Sandman, Mariano Rivera, the only perfect Hall of Famer. The 13-time All-Star had a cut fastball that gave opposing players nightmares. He broke more than his fair share of bats en route to 4 top 3 finishes in the AL Cy Young race. Rivera also finished in the top 15 of the AL MVP vote 6 times. What Rivera did in his postseason career is almost incomprehensible. In 141 innings of work, he had a .70 ERA. .70. He has the lowest career postseason ERA, despite pitching at least twice as many innings as 8 of the other 9 players in those top 10. And on the career list of postseason saves, there isn't even a close runner-up. Rivera has 42. Of course he does. 42, the last man to ever wear 42. Coming in at number 4, Mickey Mantle. From 1955 to 62, Mantle batted .315 and averaged 40 home runs and 101 RBI per year. He finished top 5 in the AL MVP race 7 times during that stretch, including winning in 1956, 57, and 62. In both 60 and 61, he finished fewer than 5 votes behind teammate Roger Maris for the honor. 1956 was the unforgettable season, though. That's the year that he would win the Triple Crown. The greatest switch hitter in the history of the game batted .353 with 52 home runs and 130 RBI, leading the American League in all 3 categories. He is just one of 4 players in the last 7 decades to achieve the Triple Crown. Mantle is the career leader in runs, home runs, and RBI in the World Series, putting up 42, 18, and 40 respectively in 65 career games. Mantle played in 12 World Series, helping the Yankees win 7 of them. From one great center fielder to another, the 3rd greatest Yankee on my list of the top greatest of all time is Joe Dimaggio. World War II took Joe D away from baseball for 3 years during his prime, yet he still managed to become one of the best there ever was. As a rookie, Dimaggio batted .323 with 29 homers and 125 RBI, and he was just getting warmed up. He proceeded to belt at least 30 homers with 125 or more RBI in each of the next 5 seasons. He inexplicably did not win the MVP in 1937 while batting .346 with 46 home runs, but he did win the vote in 1939, 1941, and 1947. Dimaggio was an all-star in every season that he played, and he finished top 10 in the MVP vote 10 times. Despite only playing 13 years, Dimaggio was part of 9 World Series champions. In at number 2, the Iron Horse. He plays second fiddle to few, but stick around for who's at number 1. Long before becoming the namesake of ALS, Lou Gehrig was an unstoppable force for the Pinstripers. He played in 2,130 consecutive games and dominated most of them. From 1927 to 38, the Iron Horse had 12 straight seasons of at least 27 home runs and 114 RBI. In 5 of those years, he topped 40 home runs. He also had 7 seasons with at least 150 RBI. Gehrig won the AL MVP in 1927 and 1936. He finished in the top 5 in 6 other occasions. And if World Series MVP honors had been awarded when he was playing, he certainly would have won it in 1928 and 1932. He batted .545 with 4 home runs and 9 RBI in the former, and .529 with 3 dingers and 8 RBI in the latter. For his career, he hit .361 in the postseason, pacing the Yankees to 6 championships. That leaves us with the clear choice at number 1, the Sultan of Swat, the King of Crash, the Great Bambino. He hit at least 41 home runs in 11 of his first 13 seasons with the Yankees. And his first 5 seasons after Boston sold his rights to New York and he abandoned his pitching career, Ruth batted .370 and averaged 47 home runs and 131 RBI. His OPS during that half-decade was .288, which is nothing short of outrageous. Don't get me started on the playoffs. In 36 career games, Ruth batted .347 with 15 home runs, 30 RBI, and a .285 OPS in the World Series. Over a full season, that's a pace of 68 home runs and 135 RBI. That's how I ranked my top 10 Yanks. Agree? Disagree? Share your thoughts with me at The Voice Bobby C on social media. Tune in Monday for the top 10 moments in Yankee Stadium history. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.
Welcome back to Open, a remote version. This week's Open Artist Spotlight features an award-winning spoken word poet from the BX. And through her poetry, she strives to inspire, educate, and advocate for intersectional and institutional issues by merging the arts and activism with a faith-based worldview. Joining us to tell us more, we welcome Lyrical Faith. Hello, honey.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I just felt the urge to have to reference you as such. The name Lyrical Faith, it just resonates with hope.
Thank you. I try.
Well, that's what we need right now. We need a lot of hope.
Absolutely. What a time.
And so I know you're going to do a presentation for us, but before we jump into that, I just want your take on where you are in this crisis.
Oh, goodness. Where I am in this crisis. So I have been working from home for the past, today's day 4. Yeah, I want to say outside of this is not leaving my building. This is like in the middle of my building, but like I want to say I have not actually left my building since Sunday when I went to the supermarket with my roommate. I have been trying to make the best or be positive about what is a very uncertain time. And I know specifically within in the poetry community, a lot of my poet friends, there have been like an upsurge in the innovation that we're using to still communicate through our art. So a lot of people are hosting Instagram live open mics, Instagram live slams. So that'll be cool to kind of see how that manifests. Doing one tomorrow night, actually.
So you're doing one on Friday night at what time?
I want to say he said it starts at 8 p.m. He posted it yesterday and he said whoever wants to join. But a lot of people have been doing them too, their Instagram live shows and then having people join on and then performing and stuff. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out.
So the work that you're doing from home, that work is based on being an educator?
Yes, so I am a college advisor. So I advise college students through a nonprofit organization, Harlem Children's Zone. And essentially my students are all students at various institutions all over the country who are now taking classes online. And so, and they're all students of color, particularly from low-income backgrounds. And so at this time, we're currently charged with making sure that our students are adjusting appropriately to their new changes, because some of these students online class is just not their thing. And we're trying to motivate them to finish the rest of the semester strong and still while we are still figuring out internally what's going on and how we want to move forward with that. And then as a spoken word poet, being that, after I am off work, I am at home. I've been trying to channel my creative energies, trying to write, communicating with my artist friends, seeing how they're doing. Checking in has been a big thing this week, particularly because a lot of my artist friends who do artistry full time, all of their gigs have been canceled. And so there's I know there's various different relief funds that are going around for artists and all sorts of things going on. So people are really trying to figure out, how they're moving forward in these days. So yeah,
I think we're all trying to figure it out, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And thank you for sharing all of that, because at the end of the day, we have to keep hope alive, and we have to continue creating. And I know that you're gonna close us out with a wonderful piece that I hope will lift everyone's spirits in just being strong together as a community. And this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Yes, absolutely.
So what is the piece you're going to be performing for us?
The piece that I'm performing is called Black Poem. It's a poem that I actually wrote. So in December, I toured down in Atlanta, and I have I connected with a lot of the poets there. And my friends there within the artistry community. And so it was cool. I actually, you know, the probably like the day before I had left to go, I was kind of just thinking about my set. I was trying to formulate my set. I featured at a place called Apache Cafe in Atlanta. And I was trying to think about like, okay, you know, what would the Atlanta community really connect with? What would they like? What should I do? And so I called my friend up. Actually, I called two of my friends up and I said, hey, like, what would be like, what do y'all like? Like, what would y'all want to hear? And both of them actually said the same thing. They both said, honestly, like, Atlanta is just black. Like, we just want to hear like some black stuff. Like,
whatever. You called it a black poem.
Like, whatever you have that's black. Like, we're gonna like it. And I'm like, okay. So on the plane, on my way there, I wrote this piece and it's called Black Poem. And I performed it that night. For that.
Woo! Looking forward to it. All right, you guys. So Lyrical Faith is gonna perform Black Poem.
Black boy, black caskets, black funeral, black after party, black as shit music, black trap, black throwback R&B, black hip hop, black hopscotch, black sidewalk, white chalk outline, black media outlets, World Star Hip Hop, The Shade Room, black entertainment television, black Twitter, black iPhone, black emojis, black fists means power to the black people. We learned that from the Black Panther Party circa 1966. To be black and resist is to have a black death wish. Big black sky holds light bright stars wouldn't be the first time a black thing was the foundation for white shining. Black and white television, black and white photographs, blackness be the absence of all light, but yet we woke up like this. Black lips, black nose, black hair, black cheekbones, black girl wrapped tight in her black skin, praying she don't give birth to black children who know what it feel like to be still in black holes 6 deep beneath our feet, getting eaten by black leech, getting eaten like mama called you and all your black cousins to the kitchen to come get you a black feast. Black child grows up whole despite being shot at all along by a black piece. Black woman was being shot at all along by white police until they called it suicide. Call it attack on black bodies, call it black on black violence, but yet we've not heard one distraction here except white noise, while black bullets locked and loaded somewhere be a mass murderer's white toys. So he walk up in the space and we all at the function, fresh to death, arrived on CP time, but we look good though. And in this moment, I remembered why black folk take so long to get ready and always show up late. It's because if we die today, this will be our ghost outfit forever. So you gonna wait.
I love it. I love it. I know we got like this. I don't know if it's switching over to me going like that.
Both, any, either or. Thank you.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for being with us here. I just got one little note for you. The next time you cough like this. That's the new practice, right?
Yes.
Yes. I know we're all relearning certain things, but you, my sister, you stay blessed, you stay safe, and first and foremost, stay healthy. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
You guys, for more on Lyrical Faith, check her out on Instagram. That's right. Everybody's going, electronics. That's it. That's the this day and age. And so you can find her on Instagram at Lyrical Faith Poetry. And that is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through, electronically. Gotta love technology. And to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast tonight and 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin. And from all of us here at Open, we are with you. And of course, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Stay Bronx strong, safe, and healthy. And as I keep saying, this too shall pass. But be sure to go wash your hands and make sure you stay home. Stay home. Stay home.